What's up, guys? This is Corey.
This is Alan.
And welcome to CNA Films and Animation. Today is Saturday, and welcome to this week's episode of
I Saw It on Netflix.
Today's video is one that was requested by one of my viewers, and that is Exit Humanity.
A zombie genre film that is stationed during the Civil War. The American Civil War.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know, it's more or less just about this guy. He
A soldier during the Civil War. The North and the South meeting in the woods somewhere, and they're exchanging fire. And then all of a sudden, there is a Confederate soldier who is a zombie. You have no idea why at all. And he turns out to be the lead character, struggles with him, then shoots him in the head. Already out to a confusing start here. Then it switches to 6 years later, and you see the main guy again, and he has just killed his wife, who had transformed into a zombie.
Mm-hmm. And his son is missing. So he goes on a couple-day search for his son, and eventually finds him and kills him as well. His son's a zombie. And he goes off to try and find, I guess, shelter and some food. And he comes across a guy named Isaac, who knocks him out, and
he says, "I need your help to save my sister." And
who's being held captive by this general.
He's a Confederate general who is still fighting the war, even though it's been over
for a couple years. And at that point, he pretty much decides that he's going to help him, and they go to this where the general stays, and
yes, which is I couldn't tell if it was an abandoned mine shaft or a crudely dug fortress of some sort, which the general and his what's left of his army, which is officers and a surgeon, are trying to find a cure for the outbreak of zombies.
And they believe that one of the hostages that they have may be the person who can hold this cure. That's pretty much the basic plot of the film.
Yeah.
And honestly, this film's a very confusing film to follow, to a point. I mean, it's relatively easy to follow, but then at the same time, it's riddled with just kind of pointless plot devices and subplots and stuff.
Yeah. It pretty much the theme of this movie is the main character, Edward Young, loses his I guess humanity. He loses his reason for being when his family dies. Mm-hmm. And it starts out like he's going to just purge the land of the zombies, just kill them all. But then it kind of switches to a surviving thing. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense as it goes. It tries to say it's making sense, but it's
And honestly, that kind of goes into the writing of this film. The writing, for the most part, is very weak. I think that's probably its weakest standpoint. You know, the weakest part of this film is the film's writing, and that's because there's a lot of like things that just make it go, huh? And there's really just corny lines at times.
Yeah, it seems to the dialogue seems to be just a lot, and a lot of areas is phrases that seem like they come from that time period, which doesn't make a film, doesn't it? add them, add dialogue, and add them, make it more realistic. But just them leaves the audience lacking. Okay, what are you trying to do here? You know.
And I mean, the acting in the film is pretty good for a horror film. It's pretty good. I'm not going to rip on any of the actors. They all did a fine job for what it's worth. But the directing is another weak point in this film, which the film was directed and written by the same person. And the film's a little choppy, a little bit. It's very hard to follow at times. And I would say that the pacing in this film is snail-paced. Oh my God, is this a slow-moving film?
It's a long film too. It's
Yeah.
an hour and 50 minutes long, which most movies like this would be an hour and 30 at most.
I look at the movie Dead Snow, which I reviewed earlier. It was one of my first videos, and what I really liked about Dead Snow was it moved very quickly. It never bored me. It was very interesting, and the zombies were pretty cool in a way. They were Nazi zombies.
Oh.
These zombies were just basically wearing paint.
Yeah.
On a very too simplistic.
Most of them are wearing white paint with maybe a little bit of blood here and there. That's most of them, and all of them are.
Mm-hmm.
It's based in Tennessee, and there are no people of African American descent at all. Which I'm not saying it should be a huge part. This is right after the Civil War. You have people moving through, some trying to live. Just all of the white people who are painted. It makes little sense, and it's distracting.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to really like this movie. I didn't know much about it when I started watching it, but I really wanted to like this. This just felt like this could be an awesome film, but I really didn't. It was too slow moving. It was uninteresting. It never grabbed me, and I just felt very disconnected from it.
I liked some of the ideas that were in the film. A zombie movie during the Civil War. Okay, that sounds interesting.
Mm-hmm. I agree on that.
But it's not during the Civil War. It's after the Civil War, which is the rebuilding period. Is an extremely hard period for America in general. And the area he's in. You don't see. His home is like the only one for miles, but you keep seeing more and more zombies. And during the whole film, he only goes to a town once. And it's not a very big town. I think there's like 4 buildings in it. But you keep seeing more and more zombies. I know that the area would be densely populated, not densely populated, really sparsely populated. But these zombies are coming from somewhere, right? You see like 1 or 2 at a time, and then you just keep seeing 1 or 2 at a time.
Yeah.
He kills everyone he sees. Let's see. This movie's filmed like Edward Young is writing a journal of his experience through it. I kind of like that. And each part is broken up. He introduces characters that way. It's all right. It kind of hurts the pacing a little bit, but I thought it was all right for the film. Characters were okay. A neat part I thought was they had little animation segments. Those were neat.
Yeah.
I thought they really would work well with the zombie movie, and they were narrated, and it worked really well for those parts.
That was probably my favorite part of the film.
Some parts of the characters I didn't quite understand. there's a character named Isaac, which is the guy who convinced Edward to help him find his sister. When they see him, he uses Edward. He tricks him into helping him. But then it's like, okay, you're my best friend ever. We've always been friends. Isaac actually saves Edward. His character does a whole 180 in like an extremely small amount of time. So it's like acting like this character's going to be one way, and then it's like, oh no, he's a completely different. He's fine. He's a fine character. Yeah, let's go with that. It's odd. There's nothing wrong with that. His sister's character is just kind of there. It had ideas. I'm going to spoil it here. They find this old medicine woman named Eve to help them. And after they've been there for a long time, Eve confides in Edward that the reason the zombies are walking, which was her sister was killed for having an abortion, and she was banished from this town, and she's taken in by an old witch, and the witch dies, and she finds these parchments, and one of them has a curse that will raise the dead, and she raises the dead not for revenge. She raises her sister. That's it. So she could see her sister. Not for revenge, not for evil purposes, nothing like that. Just to see her sister. I thought that was extremely unique, especially for a zombie film. And usually I want revenge against them, or just because I'm evil. You don't get that. And her sister, who's pretty much a walking corpse, gets a victim, and then that's how it spreads. It's kind of weird how, I don't know, but I thought it really kind of shows humanity for her character, just wanting her sister, not wanting revenge. I think this film had some really good ideas to it. It just didn't execute all that well. Costumes I thought were a little off for some of them. Edward, for half the thing, he has what looks like a brand new leather jacket. Yeah, the jacket looks brand new. A lot of the firearms look new for the time. Maybe they just bought them, but they don't say that in the film. And at one point you see Edward get a revolver out, and you see it has a gun belt with cartridges, and then he's loading it later, and it's a cat and ball pistol, or a cat and ball revolver. I'm sorry. The minor details, really. I wanted to like this film, like Corey said. It had good ideas, lack of execution, lack of flow at times.
Would you give this out of 10, Alan?
Out of 10, probably a 4.6. The ideas were there, just the lack of putting those ideas forth, really. Well, how about you?
Yeah, like I said, I wanted to like this, but there's just too much for me to not like, and I'm going to give this a 4.2 out of 10. If you like this film, I'm glad you got something out of it. You know, I would never take this away from you, but it's just not for me. I just couldn't get into it, and I thought there was a lot of plot holes and stuff that just took me away from the film. So, you know, it just wasn't my film. But if you like it, by all means. So tell me, guys, have you seen this film? If you have, what do you think of it? Did you like the film? Did you dislike it like Alan and I. If you haven't seen the film, do you want to see it? Have you heard of this film? Comment below and let us know.
If you have anything on Netflix you found that you want us to review, put it in the comments.
If you like this video, be sure to like, favorite, subscribe. I'm Corey.
I'm Alan.
And we'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace.